Hello guys, back in Nomad, I'm gonna show you a technique um for putting several parts that's not merged together without compromising your details you put in. Sometimes you can merge well, I'm gonna say merge everything, but if you merge a high pixel number, you're gonna lose a lot of details, especially if you have a lot of separate parts, and it's going to be a possibility. Um, so I made this, um, I guess platform you can call it, I guess. For the Blanca character, I did it last video. Actually, I'm probably gonna put it with the Blanca too as well. But for this part, I just want to show you some example. But you can see um the things that are highlighted and visible. The all the boxes. Those are all separate parts. I made one model of each, probably three different sizes of these wood blocks. Um, and then I used um the radio repeater for all of them to give this look on the platform. So that's each one is separate, have their own radio repeater. The plate, there is two. It's just a cylinder, in different sizes. Um, but I merged the two, did the wood blocks over it, and then the vines. Those were several ones. Two, two of them that's going completely around doing a loop. There's a skinnier one, and then there's a thicker one, and then these little vines that branch off. Um, I merged all of those together. The little ones, they were in um a repeater um of one of the vines, where you could clone the the line, I guess, forgetting the name of it, but and use that as a repeater for the separate object I made as far as the vines. Um but yeah, I'm gonna show you why well, how to keep everything in detail without compromising every detail, but um without merging in Nomad, because that you'll definitely lose those details. Um but for this, I'm just gonna show in a slicer because eventually gonna have it 3D printed. So app called Pika Slice. Um, it's an actual slicer. Or you can use the like a lychee or some other ones you can use as far as slicers. The other ones are pretty much going to be on desktop running Windows or Apple systems. But problem of keeping it separate but important. By the way, you have to import in this app as an STL file. But the problem is if you don't merge it, um, or you do merge it, either or, it's gonna create this Boolean type of mess. Um, And you can particularly see it when you go to supports in this app. And then when you scroll down this bar, it's basically showing you how it will print in a 3D printer. The little cylinder is supposed to be a hole. I just put a drain hole there. So this is a good idea when you 3D print in some or most of 3D prints. But besides that, um, you can see from here there's a lot of mess that will, I would say, will mess up the print. It's creating a lot of artifacts, a lot of holes in certain areas that shouldn't be there. You want it everything solid, even though you hollow it out. The wall should be more merged as a solid. So you can go further down past the thicker area. Um, when you see the wood planks blocks, and there's some gaps in between, and you have these little thin pieces in between the wood and other ones. It created this hole. Um, Pretty much don't want that. You want it pretty much solid from the hollow opening to all the way to the edge. Oh, that's gonna cause some problems. Um, so there is a way I found out. Um, but it's gonna take a desktop running system. But I'm gonna use a program called Meshmixer. Here we go. All right. So we're back in Nomad. I included the whole model with Blanca. So I'm gonna show the whole thing. Um, and you can see I have a lot of parts in the um scene menu. Um, in various parts that's in the groups, and then there's some that are using repeaters. So with the repeaters, you wanna validate all of them, because that might cause some problems when you're exporting. So I'm going ahead and do all of those right now. Um, Making sure everything is going. I use um, a mirror repeater or yeah, mirror, and then there's I think that's basically it as far as the ones I had to validate, and is both on the top and bottom teeth. Um, and right now I see some areas where I have to make a little indentation so you can see the teeth a little more. It's coloring up some of the details. And I have this little shape in there so it could be watertight. And I'm seeing it in the corners of the mouth as well. I need to pull some of those out as well. You know, to close the gap in there. Um, Otherwise, it's gonna cause some problems, and in those little tight spaces really don't matter as far as you don't have to put supports in there if there's no gap. Um, and it'll be very tedious and I would say painful to get in there and bring it up. I mean, you can probably in some slicers mask and hide certain areas, but it'll make it a tedious process. As well, I'm going to merge everything I validate to make little things a little more easier. So it'll be so many parts, separate parts. Yeah, checking. Looking in the corners and knowing it's probably gonna cause some problems. And like I said, just get in there and try to put supports in there is just gonna be a pain. So I'm gonna try to close those gaps. And it's a mirror, so doing one side is gonna do the same for the other. I'm using the move tool or move brush. Have it on solo so I can see it a little more better and make adjustments without any other things in the way. So I can see it more better. Yeah, I think that made it better. Yeah, I'm thorough, checking everything much as I can. But always something I'll probably miss. So it's a good practice, always checking your work. Okay, double checking everything right now. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start with the body, mainly. So I think that's gonna have the biggest number as far as faces. Going to the decimations section, starting with 35% and hitting that button. See where that takes me. I'm gonna go a little lower. Doing this way is a little tricky. Trying to hit that double digit number as far as K. I'm zooming in close so you can see the triangles. It's gonna lower the definitions I put in. But as far as the size and then in the slicers when they get printed, I don't think it's gonna have that texture in there. As far as what I'm working with, I have to compromise some stuff. So as long as it's not, a lot of it, but it is going to be some stuff that's going to have to compromise as far as the details. Trying to find that Good number and almost there. It's at 40. I'm just see if I go a little higher. Not too low at 11. I think that number's uh well, one little lower it goes. 43, I think it should be good. Again, it's gonna be for me a lot more easier to export. But more importantly for me to import it to the program on my laptop. Um, I mean, if you have a better laptop that can handle a higher number, even better. Um, but not to say I can handle a bigger number. It's just going to be a lot more slower and maybe more laggy when I import it into that program. Um, but it is possible. But just to compromise that, um, to make things more easier. And I don't think it's gonna be that bad of losing that much detail. It's gonna be very minimal, I would say. And like I said, when you print it, it's not gonna have all that texture or anything like that. It's gonna be smooth, I would say. Um, and it's gonna have some details in there as well. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna lose that much at all. And I'm gonna pick some areas to do the same thing for the other ones, like the hairs on his head and chest. Um, even the vines as well. And I think that's pretty much it. Maybe the base as well. But also um doing this model just voxel sculpting it only. But if I retopology retopo the model, I think it would have been a lot more better with the definitions and whatnot. I would say even in the program is gonna because the process I will have to bring back the details on the model in the program. Um, it I would say it probably do a little more better job. I think as far as that. I really haven't tested out far as model that's been retopologized and one then another one that's not retopologized, just voxel sculpt by itself. And what I mean by retopologize the model, so I've taken into cozy blanket and retopology that far as one of the things you can use. You can also use Blender if you have, again have a like a desktop computer or anything like that. As far as like a laptop or desktop computer. Um, and then bring it back into uh, the app, um, and then doing your finalized sculpt in there. Um, well, when you bring it back, you can project all the details you did before. bring it into the other app, and from there you can start sculpting more details, which should be a better turnout. But this one, I just wanted to do some quick, without doing that whole process. And also, you can see when I zoomed in on his face, you can see a lot of pixel areas. And it's pretty high out as far as voxel remesh. I did about 700, I believe I got to. Um, and there's a difference as far as like using the uh the uh the other modifier multiplier versus voxel remesh. Um, it's like when you go to a higher number with voxel, say 700 and whatnot. For me, when you're trying to do a lot more details, it get little difficult to do more details, and there's it's like really um too soft, easy to push in areas, and really keeping those tight areas as far as the other details you have close to each other, it can be difficult. And then when you go higher as far as before 700, you're gonna lose those details, like I said in the last video. Yeah, so the wood I'm not gonna decimate as much. It's pretty low. I would think it should be fine. Okay, I'm getting ready to export the model and export it as a STL. Keep it at STL, because I want to bring it back into Pika slicers, which only takes STL files, not OBJ. So STL files only. Okay, we're in Meshmixer, the program. Autodesk Meshmixer. It's a free program. I already imported the model. That's the only thing I did. Quick note as well. Based on your PC, if you or computer, whatever computer, um, if you have a low running system, some process is gonna take a while. Importing this guy it took a little while. And I decimated pretty low in several things on there. Um, so based on that, if you um even have a lower number of decimation of the model, we still have good details in it. If you zoom in, um, if you have the same thing, which is possible, it still is going to take longer. Um, but if you have something more powerful workhorse, it is just probably going to make things easier and faster. But let's continue. So you can see the model is kind of hidden. You can see through this little floor that it's below it, and the very first thing we're going to do is get it on the top area. And what we're going to do is, and most things we're going to do is go to edit, and then we're going to go to align. You can see right in this menu, and it popped right up, and you got to hit accept, and it's going to take some seconds. Okay. All right, and there we go. Also to give you quick little things to know, the mouse, right click and hold, lets you rotate. Um, my wheel, which is a button too, allows if you press down and hold, lets you pin, and then the wheel back and forth, allows you to zoom in and zoom out. All right, let's continue. The next thing we're gonna do is actually go up on top menu and go to view. I like to bring up this show object browser. All right, and the reason we're gonna separate anything that's haven't been merged in Nomad, it's gonna be separate still, and and you are seeing the result of that, and when you bring in a slicer, we want to make everything solid. Um, Also a quick note, I should have done, and I'm probably gonna do later. The hair, you want to make sure the hair is touching down on the back, so it won't be no gaps. I'll have to fix that later. Um, but let's continue. Um, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to in the edit menu. Still on edit. Um, we're gonna go to separate shells, and what that's gonna do is gonna take some time. It's gonna separate everything that was never merged together, and I believe it's going to polygroup it in colors. Um, Once we put it back together, but you're gonna see everything on the menu here, and anything that's gonna take some time, I'm gonna edit it out. It's gonna be a little bit of a wait. Here you go. All right. The next thing we're gonna do, you can see turn dark unless you have something selected. But what we're gonna do, the very in the browser, we're gonna go to the very top, select the first object, and then we're gonna go scroll all the way down. You're gonna have to use the bar. And then hold Shift and select the very last thing. It's gonna take some time or a second. Um, and everything is selected. And what we're gonna do, this little menu popped up in the corner on the left. We're gonna select combine. Now it's gonna combine everything else again into one, but it also gonna polygroup it in colors. So everything that was separate, that was never combined, is gonna polygroup it. There you go. You can see that everything is in different colors. Okay, everything's combined in the menu. You see. So the next thing we're gonna do, in the edit menu still, um, we're gonna go to make solid. All right, a little process menu bar coming up, and that did it fairly fast. And you can see it's merged and lost a lot of details. A lot. Looked like a lump of unsculpted clay, I guess. So the way we're gonna do, since it's in this make solid menu, what we're gonna do, at the very top where it says solid type, we're gonna change that menu or that little section into sharp edge preserve. Okay. Um, Now the next thing we're gonna go to the slider where it says solid accuracy. We're not gonna even move the slider. It goes to a certain number, but we're gonna punch it to a higher number. So we're gonna type in for what works for me when I have my my models in. We're gonna go to, I believe, 600. Okay, enter, and then we're gonna go to mesh density. And the same thing as far as that, we're not gonna even mess with the slider. We're gonna punch in 580. I wouldn't base this off on my whatever model you have. I would say experiment with the numbers. See what you can get. I would say always have the solid accuracy a higher number than the mesh density. But on your own, you probably have to figure it out based on your models. For me, this works very good. And then we're gonna go to the bottom where it says accept, cancel, and update. We're gonna press update. Okay, we are done. Now we're gonna hit accept. Well, we're gonna check on it first. And you can see you got zoom right in. This is pretty small. We're gonna change the size and the slicer, but you can see it did a fairly good job. Once you print it, it should lose some of the decimate triangles you see here. Hopefully, and I think it will. It did a fairly good job. I would say it's probably the good idea, and I'll probably show this in a video, another video on how to do keys, where you have this guy separate from the base, but you're gonna have some keys where when it's finished printing, you can put it together with some glue, but it has a fitting where it fits snugly in there, back into the place you want it in. And I see 3 sections for the body and the arms, so a total of 3, I would say. And then it'll make it easier when you gotta have drain holes for the, because I'm gonna hollow it out as well. But let's export everything back into the iPad, into the app. All right, let's go. Oh, hit accept as well to finalize it. Now we're gonna export. All right, see you guys at the app. Okay, we're back on the iPad. Now we're in Pika Slicer. I exported the model, the renewed solid model, back into iPad, and I'm going to bring it into Pika Slice. And I'm going up in the left corner where it says open. And then I'm going to where it says mesh to basically import the STL file. Okay. open. Might take some seconds. There we go. So most models of any sculpt you do is going to be starting off really small. That's just standard Nomad unless you change the size. But anyway, I'm gonna reset the camera so it could zoom out some, and that's in the right bottom corner. You can see on the build plate it's really small. I have an Epex E10. I think this is the size of the build plate as well. So just to show the reference, I'm just gonna get to show the inside of it. But I just want to make it bigger first. You could punch in numbers. It doesn't have anything where it could set size to size up. But here we go. Make it a little bigger. Yeah, it should be good enough. And then I'm gonna, where you see all these symbols on the right upper corner, one of them is gonna say on plate is have this arrow pointing down, this line pointing down. It's right under this delete button. So I'm gonna press that. It's on the build plate just to show it more better. In the middle upper, or in the middle, I'm gonna press support, and that way it's gonna bring it to this other configuration. On the right, all the way to the right on the side, you'll see this like a scroll. So basically this little cube is just basically indicate how it's going to be printed. Now if you scroll it down, it's going to show the process of, throughout the layers, and you can see from the start of it, it's pretty much solid. It's no hollow yet. I didn't set it to hollow, but there's no boolean or anything except for that area. Well, that's just based off the little space between the hair and the back, where I mentioned I should have brought down the bottom of the hair section area and merge it, or had it going into the back, so it wouldn't have that little gap. You definitely don't want that as far as when you're doing the print. Before I do a print of this, I'm gonna fix that area. Anyway, continue down to show pretty much everywhere is solid, and that's how you make every separate part that's not merging Nomad into a solid piece. And that way you'll have a mostly perfect print. But like I said, you can hollow this out, to use less resin. It's probably a good idea to, set it as two pieces, the base and then the body of Blanca. Set in some keys and set it where it could be less print time, but that'll be another video. Hope you guys enjoy. All right. Um, let me get let me let. Hope you guys enjoy this the video tutorial. Hope it's very helpful. Especially if you only have an iPad, and also if you have, you know, some type of computer to help with this process. Otherwise, you'll have the long way around and more tedious way is once you have everything sculpted, um, and probably merge all together in Nomad, like everything one solid piece merge. Um, is to bring it into um cozy blanket and retopologize the whole thing all together, which is gonna take, I would say, a lot more time and a lot more tedious. As far as that, you get better, um, better details, I would say, as far as you do that process. But if you're doing something that's, you know, certain areas, as far as sculpting Nomad and leaving certain things as voxel, but separate from certain areas, certain objects, like the hair and the chest and whatnot, the base. You don't want to do that process as far as everything in retopology. This is a good way to do it. To make everything solid in one piece. Where you won't have no problematic prints or failures, I should say. Um, and no higher success. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave some comments, share, and like. And see you guys on the next one. Bye.